How are you? Very welcome. Yes, sir. Please. The winners, UNOWAS, Secretary General, Resident, Representative, friends, members of the delegation. Let me first of all welcome you very warmly to the seat of the presidency of our country, to Jubilee House, and to say how very happy I am to have you here with us. To congratulate you first of all on your appointment, important appointment, representing directly the Secretary General of the United Nations in our region, and a man I know well. We were former colleagues together in our other lives. I'm happy that today we're having to deal with you in the problems of our region. I think your own assessment of really, well, before even we come to that, I wanted to congratulate you on the very active manner in which you've entered into your office. You've visited virtually all the countries of the region, and been responsible for 2 briefings to the Security Council. You've been very active in the very limited time that you've been here. And that bodes well for us, that we therefore sense in you a sense of urgency about the problems that we have. I don't think anybody can gainsay the fact that the biggest issue in our region is the security matter. The jihadist threat in the Sahel and its implications for all of us, whether or not we're in the Sahel or coastal states. The presence of the jihadists in Mali a decade ago, and the steady expansion of their activities and influence eastwards, and now clearly also southwards towards the coastal countries like our own, is something that is a preoccupying issue for all of us. And it has got involved with issues of governance in Burkina Faso and in Mali, and today we're being told in Niger as well. It's the proximate cause of the unconstitutional changes of government that we have witnessed in ECOWAS. Guinea is a slightly different case. But we're talking about a region which until 4 or 5 years ago was held as a model of democratic governance on the continent. And virtually all the nations of ECOWAS have now been the subject of democratic elections. And suddenly that picture of ECOWAS as a democratic space has been compromised by these events in Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, and now in Niger. So it's the biggest preoccupation we have, and how to re-establish democratic rule in these nations is a major preoccupation of people like myself, because we think that the issues of, I have to confess I disagree with the analysis that the leaders of Burkina Faso made to you, that somehow or other you can distinguish the governance from issues of security, and you can, as it were, deal with security on its own without taking into account the quality of governance of those who are prosecuting the battle for security. I think it's a mistaken view. It is a view that brought them to power, and it continues to be their view. The efforts that they're making in Burkina Faso to confront the terrorist menace has not improved. They have not been able to turn the tide of terrorism in Burkina Faso by taking on the responsibility of governance. We need to restore all these countries to democratic rule. We have, and the methods to doing so are what are proving to be difficult. Many, including myself, have been arguing for some time about the need for the mandate of, for instance, MINUSMA to have been expanded, to give MINUSMA the role, a more forceful, a more robust mandate than it had, which has led to its being, as it were, expelled, if you like, by the Malians from Mali. I think these are matters that we, in future, we all have to work together and look at more closely. And if we're going to be talking about UN interventions in peacekeeping forces in our area, the nature of the mandate that the Security Council has to give them is something that I think ECOWAS and the United Nations should look at more closely in the future, because it's quite clear that the relatively limited mandate that MINUSMA had in Mali had also a lot to do with its inability to act when action was required. I think that it's an area that we all have to look at and draw the appropriate lessons for the future. Whilst we're dealing with these issues of security, we can never overlook the vital imperative of finding the means to propel the economic growth and development of our nations. Because that, at the end of the day, is the proper route towards stability in our area. We're talking about poor states which have major problems of poverty, of youth unemployment, and it is only economic development, economic growth that can address these issues. So as we struggle to establish stability and peace and security in our area, we have also at the same time to continue the search for means to propel our economies forward, because that's an indispensable part of the search for stability in our area. And I think it's an area where both the UN and ECOWAS can profitably work together and find some consensus and coordination of ideas and views. I think that statesmen of your stature and understanding of the problems of our continent and of our region are in a very ideal position to promote that dialogue, and we will all very happily assist in finding a way where the UN and ECOWAS can work together effectively for the problems of our area. ECOWAS was the poster boy of regional integration on the continent until a few years ago, and it's important that we find a way to restore that position and that reality, that image back to ECOWAS. We are happy that, as I say, a man of your experience is now in charge of this very sensitive and important function in the place. And you can count on the Ghanaian government to give you as much support as we're capable of to make sure that your tenure as the Secretary General's representative in our area is successful. We have a double responsibility because your predecessor was our compatriot, and it would look very bad if, having succeeded him, we were somehow seem to be dragging our feet in helping you with your work. So we have a special responsibility in making sure that your period as the Secretary General's representative works. The various I've heard the arguments that the Guinean leader has been making as to the reasons for his coup and what he's doing. Well, we'll see. History will be the final determinant, but I'm skeptical about these grounds for intervention that he has articulated impliedly in what he's saying. But we'll see how that works. Mali, which we will be going to, is still the big conundrum for all of us, how we are going to ensure that they stick to the timetable, the agreed timetable with ECOWAS, which calls for elections In fact, in all three countries, next year is the date in which they should be having elections. But I don't get the impression that there's any really serious movement in that direction. But you'll be in a position to determine for yourself in Mali when it's gone. Our immediate focus, of course, is what has occurred in Niamey and how that situation can be reversed. I think ECOWAS at the summit, which was held in Abuja yesterday, my understanding is that the decision that was taken to say that all measures, including the use of force, will be available to the authority to deal with this attempted unconstitutional change of government, is basically a way of saying that they're drawing the line in the sand. We cannot continue this avenue of coups taking place, negotiating with the soldiers for a transition and return to constitutional rule as the way forward. We have to try and actually make it difficult for these things to occur. So, and if they occur, that they cannot stabilize. And that is the decision that the authority took yesterday in Abuja. Ghana was in full support of the measures that have been outlined and full support of the leadership of the Nigerian President, Bola Tinubu, to make sure that we restore ECOWAS as a democratic space. It's extremely important for the future of the region and the populations here. So we will be working with you closely to make sure that the overall objective of restoring the peace, the security, and forward progress of the community is reestablished, and that we work together to bring an end to this insurgency that is taking hold of the Sahelian part of our region, with its implications for the rest of us. So I want to express my gratitude to you for coming to see us. You didn't leave us out in your peregrinations in the region. And as I indicated to you, we are very ready to extend a hand of support and whatever it is that Ghana can do to help make your tenure as the Secretary General's representative successful. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Mr. President, for sharing with me your views on that. I have two hats. I'm a UN, but I'm African also. So any mission you, Mr. President, or your colleagues think that I can do for the region, please contact me through your colleagues. You know my background. I'm here to serve the continent. Because also I have a deep understanding of the challenge our countries are going through. Even last week there was these discussions about the refoulement of refugees there. So I had to work with my colleagues to say, well, country like Ghana with the strong institutions and with a strong tradition of rule of law, and having a president who himself is a jurist, cannot renegade by international commitments. So we have to work with the government to understand what happened also. And I'm happy today that, well, there is progress. Our colleagues are working with the government and they have a better understanding what is at stake. So I think this is the way it gives also insurance, because also we have to protect government also. Some of the decisions or some are not taking it lightly on that. There are a strong reason to take that. But I'm very happy to see that there is a lot of progress on that. So once again, thank you very much, Mr. President. As I said, I'm available to you and to the region.
So, what, you're here for tonight, you leave tomorrow, is that it?
Tomorrow I'm still there because we have this Bar Association conference starting tomorrow. And after tomorrow, then I will...
West African Bar Association.